All right, so Andrew, you've acquitted yourself nicely of this whole situation. Now we can move on and actually talk about the Patriots. Well done.
Fun to watch for a change.
Yes.
That's your cue to.
No, that's my analysis. Yes, period. No, look, it's a whole new world offensively, and this isn't saying Drake Maye is going to be a quarterback here for 10 years or 12 years or 15 years. I don't even know how Sunday is going to go against Jacksonville. But what I saw against the Texans this past weekend were things that we had not seen in years from a Patriots quarterback. Drake Maye already has a touchdown pass that traveled longer than 35 yards in the air. This is shout out Mike Reese in ESPN Stats and Info. As Mac Jones did in 3 seasons, right? That touchdown pass we all wowed at and saw in the first half. Mac Jones had one of those his entire time here.
That was a Hail Mary, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, but more or less. And it was also deflected at the line off of Scotty Washington that ends up in Jacoby Myers' lap. So it was not intentional. This, of course, was intentional, pinpoint, insane throw, whether you know the next-gen stats or not. The other part about that was their longest completion at home in 2 years. Like, this is an offense now that I've been saying is no longer stink and dunk, right? Little bits down the field, dump-offs, checkdowns, slants, screens. Drake Maye can create plays on his own. He scored 21 points, obviously, season high, had almost as many passing yards as any Patriots quarterback has had in a full year. It's just different. And that I think everyone has been waiting to see since Tom Brady left.
Okay, and you could immediately see, I could see outside of the first series where it was handoff, incomplete, whatever. And even the second series after the completion, the interception. But even on the interception, as Zoe pointed out on the broadcast, and I think multiple analysts said the same thing, that's just a live arm. That's just somebody who's juiced up, and he just overthrew it. It wasn't the most horrific pick you're going to see. It was just, all right, he got a little too much on it. He just sailed it. Beyond that, and once you got into the game, once he settled in a little bit, he looked more like a starting quarterback than, not to pick on Jacoby Brissett. He did his job here, and I think he accepted all of this remarkably graciously.
Absolutely.
Talking about how he knew he was the placeholder. It was his job to play the position, to help get Drake Maye ready. It's his job now to continue to make sure he's ready. So this isn't any knock on Jacoby Brissett, maybe more so on Mac Jones. He looks like the closest thing the Patriots have had to an NFL caliber starting quarterback going back to Tom Brady. I can't think of another one.
It wasn't Cam Newton.
It wasn't Cam. It wasn't Zappy. It wasn't Mac. It wasn't Jacoby Brissett.
Well, the height of Mac Jones his rookie year, everyone else is saying we got a quarterback here. But we know that was different, right? Like, he was well protected. He had weapons you could argue then were better than the ones that Drake Maye has now. And I'll add this. It's not just like the arm and the legs that were all wowing and you expected, because that's who he was at North Carolina. There were nuances here within the game, Hardy, that I look and go, okay, he's doing advanced stuff. Not only advanced stuff right away, but against a great defense. First example, this is probably my favorite play of the whole game. They're backed up at the start of that 2-minute drill right before halftime. And he makes a full field progression read, goes all the way from the left where he had a 2-route combination. That's covered, goes all the way back to the right. The pocket's closing. He lets it out for Demario Douglas and takes a huge hit. Douglas gets it, zips up the sideline for 22 yards. That's toughness, it's focus, it's processing. And the throw he made was basically taking a hop step. Like, this was off platform. This was all arm talent stuff that quarterbacks who have been here before can't do. Later on, he's also not only just picking on Douglas against man coverage, he's shimmying zone defenders out of their spots where they're supposed to drop to open up a 13-yard completion to Kayshon Boutte in the fourth quarter. The game was gone by then. But the small stuff is there.
You mentioned toughness, and this is not a small thing. This is a big thing, and this is something that Jacoby Brissett did very well. That wasn't the only big shot he took. He took 2 or 3 really big other shots, got up, and was just fine the next play. Players noticed that, but most importantly, fans noticed that too. I mean, the offensive line isn't protecting for him any better than they protected for Brissett. Maye was under siege, and he performed much better. That, to me, is top 3 of the good things that we saw.
And they couldn't run the ball. Right? Like, this is an offense, you said it off the top. First 2 runs, go for 1 combined yard. They run a lot of play action. Houston's like, okay, cool. You're not really running the ball. Then you're behind. So he doesn't have a running game. He's not playing in a neutral situation where they're going to respect the run and the pass anyway based on the scoreboard, and they're still giving up pressure, while less than Jacoby Brissett saw, on more than 40% of his dropbacks.
Still.
And this is a guy who throws 3 touchdown passes. It wasn't perfect. I don't know what's going to come next. Mac Jones broke under much less pressure than Drake May saw and Jacoby Brissett has seen. But for a first start, and you'll see this in the film review, I think it just went up at thebostonherald.com. You want to just boil this down to a letter grade? This was a solid A- for me. This was great.
Whoa.
Okay, that's solid. Now, the end result is essentially the same.
I got blown out again.
Yeah, we get lost in the elation of seeing someone out there who can actually, look like they can play quarterback. You lost by 20 points.
Yeah.
So we can talk about Drake May as much as you'd like, and feel free to call in too, 617-779-0985 if you want to speak with Andrew about this. But defensively, this is what I think Gerard Mayo was focusing in on in his post-game comments when he kept saying, we let him down. We let him down. It wasn't just about the protection. It was about the defense, which is just it's mind-boggling what has happened to this team after week 1.
Yeah, Christian Gonzalez looked very ordinary last weekend while trying to defend Stephon Diggs. Am I wrong? Did they go zone to protect him after the first quarter?
No, he did give up a couple catches to Diggs on the first drive, then gave up the touchdown later on. But that was anyone against Diggs, who for whatever reason gets like some of that Michael special stuff from Space Jam whenever he goes to Gillette Stadium.
Yes.
Because the Patriots just can't defend him. Belichick couldn't do it. Mayo can't do it. Christian Gonzalez, Steph Gilmore, whoever it is. But the point about the defense, look, they gave up 41 points in part because they were put in bad situations. Pick, fumble, another pick that wasn't Drake May's fault in the third quarter. Aside from that, though, they're giving up 166 rushing yards per game since Juwan Bentley left. Okay? He left after week 2. It's not all on Juwan Bentley.
That's got nothing to do with field position.
Right. That's just like, can you stop the guy in front of you? Yeah. And I look at this, it's not just Juwan Bentley. Jabril Peppers, we know, is out. Christian Barmore hasn't played at all. The 2 runs that really stood out to me that Houston made were the longest one they had was a 59-yard gain in the first half, and then Joe Mixon runs 20 yards basically untouched in the fourth quarter for a touchdown. Both of these plays that Houston ran, they left Devon Godchow unblocked on what's a wham run or a version of a trap run, where he gets hit from the side by a tight end as opposed to being head up on an offensive lineman. You run trap plays for defensive linemen that you can't block one-on-one heads up, which to me said Houston had trouble with Devon Godchow, which was true. It also told me they don't really care about anyone else in that defense right now or think they'll have much trouble, and they did not, because Bentley's replacement, Raekwon McMillan, doing his best. Right now, it's not good enough. He gets washed out of both gaps. Keanu White loses an edge. Anthony Jennings lost an edge, which is rare. But Godchow's the only one holding up personnel-wise over the last 4 weeks, and that's just never going to get it done.
If you want to see a good video breakdown of this and what Andrew just said, you can follow him on Twitter at _Andrew Callahan. Lots of good stuff there that Andrew's pumping out the content, buddy.
My man.
I love it. Yeah, I saw this earlier. Yeah, Houston called wham on their longest run, 59 yards and a 20-yard touchdown. So we'll continue talking defense. We'll talk about Drake May, the expectations for this Sunday in London against Jacksonville.
This should be a win, by the way.
Okay, well, we'll
They're
see.
5.5-point dogs.
I know. This still should be a win.
We'll see what Andrew has to say about it, John.
If you like that clip, and how could you not? Check out more videos from Toucher and Hardy here. Point slightly up and to the left. For more Patriots analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. Point slightly down and to the left. And for the latest from the Sports Hub, download at 985thesportshub.com.